The story of the Washington quarter is one of the most fascinating chapters in American coinage history, and the 2022 D-Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin has become one of the most talked about coins among collectors, enthusiasts, and even ordinary people who happen to find one in their pocket change. Today we are going to take a deep dive into its origins, design history, production details, and the surprising current market value that has stunned so many. This is not just a coin, it is a piece of living history, a token of artistry, and for some, a hidden treasure worth thousands of dollars. Let us begin by stepping back to understand why the Washington quarter exists in the first place. The quarter dollar has been around since the 1790s, when the United States Mint first began issuing coins under the direction of George Washington himself. For over a century, the quarter featured different designs such as the draped bust, the seated liberty, the barber design, and of course the standing liberty, which was issued from 1916 until 1930. By the end of that era, the government decided to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, which would take place in 1932. A new quarter was commissioned to celebrate the founding father and his legacy. The sculptor John Flanagan was chosen to design the coin. His work presented a left-facing portrait of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle with wings spread on the reverse. This design was never intended to be permanent, but it became one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. For decades, the Washington quarter became a fixture of everyday commerce and a symbol of American strength. From silver issues before 1965 to clad copper-nickel issues afterward, the quarter evolved with the times but never lost its recognizable face. Fast forward to the 21st century. By the early 2000s, the quarter became the centerpiece of massive commemorative programs such as the 50 state quarters, the District of Columbia and Territories quarters, and then the America the Beautiful series, which showcased national parks. Millions of people began collecting coins from pocket change again because of these special designs. When that program ended in 2021, the United States Mint announced a brand new series called the American Women Quarters Program to run from 2022 through 2025. This program would honor historic women who made significant contributions to the nation. The 2022 D-Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin is part of this groundbreaking series. The D-Mint Mark means that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most productive coin facilities in the country. The obverse side of the coin features a brand new design of George Washington. This portrait was not by John Flanagan but instead based on a 1931 sculpture by Laura Garden Fraser, a renowned female artist who was originally passed over when the Treasury first chose Flanagan in the 1930s. Many historians now see this as a long overdue recognition of her artistry. Washington's bust faces right this time rather than left, offering a fresh perspective while still maintaining the dignity of the founding father. On the reverse, each 2022 quarter features one of 5 remarkable women who helped shape American history. These include Maya Angelou, the celebrated poet and civil rights activist, Dr. Sally Ride, the first American woman in space, Wilma Mankiller, the first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, Nina Otero Warren, a leader in the suffrage movement, and Anna May Wong, the first Chinese-American Hollywood film star. Each design tells a story and carries deep cultural significance. Collectors immediately began to notice the artistic details and the symbolic power of these coins. Now let us talk about the 2022 D-Mint Mark quarter in terms of mintage and circulation. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of coins in 2022, and at first glance most people would assume that the coin is common and worth only 25 cents. However, the real story lies in the rare varieties, the errors, and the perfect condition coins that have surfaced. Coin grading is a key factor in determining market value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a flawless specimen known as mint state or proof. A 2022 D quarter in average circulated condition might be worth face value, but one in mint state 67, 68, or better can be highly sought after. Collectors and auction houses have already recorded remarkable sales for certain 2022 D quarters, particularly those featuring sharp strikes, clean surfaces, and strong luster. Some errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, and die clashes have also been identified, adding to the excitement. A doubled die can show up in the lettering or the portrait, and collectors pay premiums for such unique mistakes. The most surprising fact is that certain graded examples of the 2022 D Mint Mark Washington quarter have reached astonishing prices. The current market has seen coins in pristine mint state 70 conditions selling for tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, the record so far is a reported valuation of $51,293. Imagine finding a coin in your pocket change worth that much. This is why collectors scour their coins so carefully, examining every detail under magnification, sending them for professional grading, and hoping to strike gold in the world of numismatics. But how can a coin minted so recently be worth more than a brand new car or even a luxury vacation? The answer lies in rarity of condition. Even though millions were produced, very few survive in absolute perfect condition with no blemishes, scratches, or weak spots. Professional grading services certify these coins and assign them the top grade, which drives demand. Combine that with the historic significance of the American Women Quarters program and the long-awaited recognition of Laura Garden Fraser's Washington portrait, and you have a recipe for skyrocketing value. Collectors are not just paying for a piece of metal, they are paying for history, for artistry, for rarity, and for the bragging rights of owning one of the finest examples known. In auctions, bidders compete fiercely, driving the price higher and higher until only one passionate collector remains. That is how the current market value of $51,293 was reached for the 2022 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin. If you are wondering whether you might have one of these valuable coins, here is what you need to know. First, check for the D Mint mark, which will appear on the obverse side near Washington's portrait. Then carefully examine the coin for any unusual features such as doubling or striking errors. If the coin looks exceptionally sharp and flawless, consider submitting it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Even a high mint state 66 or 67 coin can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars. It is also important to store coins properly to preserve their condition. Avoid handling them with bare fingers as oils can damage the surface. Place them in protective holders and keep them away from humidity and extreme temperatures. Coin collecting is not only about money but also about preserving history for future generations. The 2022 D quarter is still new, and its story is still unfolding. Values may rise even further as collectors continue to compete for top quality examples. Future generations may look back and see this coin as a turning point in American numismatics, when new designs and new voices entered the coinage landscape. As we reflect on this journey, from the origins of the Washington quarter in 1932 to the modern era of the American Women Quarters program, one thing becomes clear. Coins are more than small pieces of metal. They are storytellers, carrying images of leaders, heroes, and cultural icons. They connect us to the past and inspire us for the future. The 2022 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin is a perfect example of how a humble 25-cent piece can capture the imagination of millions and command a value of over $51,000 in today's market. So the next time you receive change at a store, take a moment to look closely at the quarters. You never know if you might be holding one of these treasures in your hand. The thrill of the hunt, the history behind the design, and the potential for great value all make coin collecting one of the most rewarding hobbies in the world. And with that, we close this long exploration into the fascinating history, design, and incredible market value of the 2022 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of United States coinage, and specifically we will be talking about one of the most discussed coins of the late 20th century, the 1988 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin. This coin is not only an everyday piece of pocket change that millions of people handled in their daily lives, but it also carries with it a rich history and an unexpected level of collectible value that has shocked many people in the numismatic community. The current market value for certain rare examples of the 1988 D Washington quarter dollar can reach as high as $89,263, which is an incredible sum for a coin that most people would think of as just 25 cents. To begin with, let us step back and look at the origins of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced In 1932, to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States, the design was created to honor his leadership, his legacy, and his role as the founding father of the nation. The coin features the portrait of George Washington on the obverse side, which is the front side of the coin, and the reverse side traditionally depicted an eagle with outstretched wings. The Washington quarter has gone through many design changes over the decades, but in the year 1988 it still retained the classic eagle reverse design that had been in use for many years. Now let us talk about the Denver Mint itself. The D Mint mark that you see on the 1988 quarter stands for the Denver Mint, located in Denver, Colorado. The United States Mint has several facilities including Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Denver, and each one produces coins with its own mint mark. The Denver Mint has long been known for producing high-quality circulation coins, and in 1988 it struck millions upon millions of Washington quarters. The sheer number of coins that came out of the Denver Mint that year might make you think that no single coin from that run could ever be valuable, but the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. So what makes the 1988 D Washington quarter special, and why do collectors today value certain examples at nearly $90,000? The answer lies in a combination of history, rarity, condition, and collector demand. While most 1988 D quarters are worth face value, there are certain examples that stand out because of their pristine condition, their unique errors, and their grading by professional coin services. Condition is always a major factor in determining coin value. The highest grades are called mint state, and they are rated on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS65 is considered gem quality, and coins graded MS67 or MS68 are truly rare gems. When it comes to the 1988 D Washington quarter, finding an example in perfect or near perfect mint state condition is extremely difficult because these coins were intended for circulation, and most of them became scratched, worn, or damaged through everyday use. In addition to condition, collectors also look for varieties and errors. Some of the most valuable 1988 D quarters feature unusual striking mistakes, doubling on the lettering, weak strikes, or planchet flaws. A double die error, or a coin that was improperly struck, can be highly prized because it is a tangible mistake that slipped past quality control and made its way into the hands of the public. These kinds of errors are not only rare, but they also carry a story that fascinates collectors. The story of the 1988 D quarter is not just about the physical coin, but also about the era in which it was produced. The late 1980s in the United States was a period of change. The nation was emerging from the Cold War tensions, technology was advancing, and culture was shifting. The quarter in your pocket during that time was a quiet witness to the history unfolding around it. When collectors look at the 1988 D quarter today, they see not just the design of Washington and the eagle, but also a piece of late 20th century America preserved in metal. Now let us go into more detail about the current market value at the most basic level. Circulated examples of the 1988 D Washington quarter are worth their face value of 25 cents. However, once you start looking at coins in better condition, the value increases rapidly. A coin in mint state 65 might fetch between $10 and $50 depending on demand. Coins in even higher grades such as MS67 have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, but the real shock comes when we look at the absolute finest known examples. Coins graded MS68 with a flawless strike, full luster, and no noticeable marks have reached astronomical sums at auction, with one example fetching $89,263. Think about that for a moment. A coin that cost the government just a few cents to produce, and that was intended to be spent on a pack of gum or a phone call, is now commanding prices higher than a luxury car. That is the magic of numismatics, and the reason collectors dedicate so much time and energy to finding the perfect coin. Of course, it is important to understand that not every 1988 D Washington quarter is worth this much. In fact, almost all of them are still worth face value. The incredible auction prices are limited to the finest known examples, which have been professionally graded and certified by organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company. These grading services provide authentication and ensure that collectors know exactly what they are buying. The highest value coins are those that stand out not just for their rarity, but for their condition. Collectors today often wonder how to find valuable quarters like the 1988 D. The truth is that the best way is to carefully examine rolls of quarters from the bank. Search through old coin collections or attend coin shows and auctions. Patience is key because valuable finds are extremely rare, but the possibility of discovering a hidden treasure keeps the excitement alive for coin enthusiasts around the world. Another important aspect of the 1988 D quarter is its place in the broader history of American coinage. As we moved into the 1990s, the Washington quarter was about to undergo a major transformation. In 1999, the United States Mint launched the State Quarters program, which replaced the traditional eagle reverse with designs celebrating each of the 50 states. The 1988 D quarter therefore represents one of the last years of the classic eagle reverse design before the great change in American coinage that captured the attention of millions of people. Let us also talk about the design details. The obverse features the profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. His portrait had been used on the quarter since 1932. And while some modifications were made over the years, it remained a consistent symbol of American leadership. The reverse with the eagle is bold, strong, and simple, showing the power of the nation. The design may look ordinary to someone outside the coin world, but to collectors it carries tradition, dignity, and history. The journey of a single coin can be amazing. Imagine a 1988 D Washington quarter leaving the Denver Mint over 35 years ago, traveling through vending machines, cash registers, pockets, and purses before eventually being discovered by a collector in pristine condition. That coin might have been tucked away in a collection for decades untouched, and then submitted for grading only to reveal its true worth. That story adds to the mystique and the emotional value of the coin. The market for coins like this is also influenced by demand among collectors. Coin values rise when there is competition, and when people are willing to pay more for rarity and condition. The auction price of $89,263 was not just about the coin itself, but also about the desire of collectors to own the very best example of a 1988 D quarter in existence. That demand creates bidding wars and drives prices to levels that most people would never expect. In conclusion, the 1988 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin may look like an ordinary piece of pocket change, but in reality it is a fascinating part of American numismatic history. While the majority of these coins are only worth 25 cents, certain rare high-grade examples have shocked the coin collecting world with values reaching nearly $90,000. The history of the Washington quarter, the role of the Denver Mint, the condition, rarity, and collector demand all come together to tell the story of this remarkable coin. So, the next time you find yourself holding a Washington quarter from the 1980s, take a moment to look closely at it. You never know if that small silver-colored coin in your hand could be one of the rare treasures worth thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Remember that coin collecting is about more than just money. It is about preserving history, connecting with the past, and appreciating the artistry and craftsmanship of American coinage. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the story of the 1988 D Washington $quarter. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history and value, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with fellow collectors and enthusiasts. Stay curious, keep hunting, and who knows, maybe the next valuable coin is already sitting in your pocket right now.